And welcome back to another episode of the On the Sideline podcast with Jackson and Kyle. I am Jackson, and I'm joined here, as always, by the man who might fall asleep talking about the NFC South this podcast. Kyle, how are you doing?
Doing great. I promise I won't fall asleep, but
Okay, good.
Not exactly enthusiastic about these teams this season, gotta say.
I don't know. I think there's some intrigue here. I don't know if I necessarily think either of these teams have particularly high ceilings this season, but I think these are teams that I'm going to be wanting to see how they do. Specifically, if I'm interested in seeing how Derek Carr, handles with the Saints and how that works. And I'm interested in seeing the Panthers and all their young players. Falcons and Bucks. I'm always interested in the Buccaneers, but I think as a whole, maybe those aren't the two most exciting teams. But there's some things to talk about here.
There's some young players that are exciting on Atlanta, new look defense.
Okay. Singling out Atlanta and not Tampa Bay. Okay, fine.
This is going to be basic. You don't watch college football, but this is the NFL's equivalent of the MAC. You're just sitting down with a Tuesday night. You got your high noon in your hand. You got your nooner, and there's a little Toledo, Ohio action on, and you're locked in. This is basically what the NFC South is for me this year.
Yeah, I feel like the difference though is that these are still teams with
professional athletes.
Yes. Yeah, this is not like, I don't know, glorified high school football.
I will say, I think bad college football is better than bad NFL football.
Interesting. That's a take.
Because the thing is, like, bad college football players, amateur football players stink. So usually there's a lot of points, there's a lot of offense, because that's what's usually ahead of the defense. But for bad NFL players are still really good. The ball just doesn't move as much. I feel like it's more stagnant.
I can see it. Let's transition from what could be 4 bad teams potentially, or maybe they'll surprise us. It happens every year. I don't know who thought the Seahawks were going to be good last year and make the playoffs, so you never know. But the way we do this every week, you will give the order 4 through 1. So why don't we just get into it? Who's finishing 4th in this division?
First of all, I do think this is still, like I said, this is my ranking is the worst division of football. Like you said, maybe it could surprise us, but I honestly wouldn't be shocked if we have an under 500 team from this division in the playoffs again. I don't think it's crazy, but I also think the thing is like you look at last year, there was basically a game difference between the 4 teams. I think these teams are still kind of close to each other. Like, I don't think there's a huge gap between any one team. Maybe the team at the top. We'll talk about it. We've been debating about it all off season. I got Tampa Bay 4th, and I'm sorry to do this to you. Look, I mean, they brought in a new offensive coordinator, so maybe that works. But at the same time, he hasn't been an offensive coordinator before. Like, he's a quarterback's coach, so he doesn't really know what it's like to call plays. And this was a bottom tier offense last season before all that transpired. And that was with Todd Bowles basically putting multiple sets of training wheels on this offense. They were the absolute worst run offense in football, and they were middle of the pack passing offense. And that was basically the times that Brady had a clean pocket and Brady didn't want to get hit. Brady didn't get hit because he really didn't want to get hit last year. The passing game kind of worked. And that was the only thing that they really had going for them. That being said, there's no Tom Brady anymore. And I just have a tough time seeing how this team moves the ball. I think this is going to be maybe one of the worst offenses in the league. And I just don't see how you win games without offense in the modern football.
It's tough. I mean, it's just tough because we talk about the 2 most important people in each organization or in, for the organization. And at the top, you have Todd Bowles, who, we haven't exactly sung praises of as a head coach. Definitely a, well-established coordinator, but as a head coach, yet to really show he can do it. And I thought, really was kind of a disaster last year. Also, the quarterback thing of whether it's Kyle Trask or Baker Mayfield, it's not great either way. So there's some inherent just issues at the most important spots here. And so, while there are certainly talented players on this team, there are, Hall of Fame caliber players on this team. The issue is that the most important position, you can make an argument they are 32nd in the league entering in here.
Yeah, and maybe 32nd at coach too. So that's a bit of a problem. And yeah, I mean, like you said, like, Tristan Wirfs even is a fantastic player. I like Godwin a lot. Obviously, Mike Evans is a Hall of Famer. And even you look at a tight end like Otten. Like, I don't think he's anything to write home about, but I thought he did some pretty good stuff last year. Gage isn't even a bad third receiver. So there are weapons here, but you got to have somebody to get them the ball. And yeah, I don't trust either of these quarterback options. Maybe we see a resurgent Baker Mayfield, but I feel like we thought that last year, and that lasted like 3 quarters. And then he had like a really nice game for the Rams, and then that kind of went away again. So I just I don't know what exactly is a resurgent Baker Mayfield at this point, and they really need a stable quarterback position because we saw what this offense was like last year. I just can't imagine how it's going to be without a player of Brady's caliber.
Yeah, I think betting on Baker Mayfield succeeding is would be a mistake. But I also think that saying betting on anything about Baker Mayfield would be a mistake because no one's had the career that Baker Mayfield has had. He has had one of the strangest careers. I don't know, maybe Carson Wentz is someone you could compare it to. Wentz probably a little bit more strange actually, but like it's a very odd situation of someone coming in having a very good rookie year, probably the best out of that draft class. Then I guess probably Lamar maybe about it, but you could argue that Baker was better that year. Baker was a good quarterback as a rookie. Disastrous year 2, good year 3, disastrous year 4 when he was injured, and then in Carolina it didn't work out. I think the way you talk yourself into Baker Mayfield is you say he struggled when he was injured with Cleveland. He struggled in the Freddie Kitchens situation, and he struggled when he was in a tough situation in Carolina. He's not someone who is situation proof. There's no denying that. But could he be someone who, in a good situation, can actually still, make things happen?
Maybe.
Yeah.
But I mean, even then, like, I don't know. They eventually kind of sold the house and everything. But like when he entered Carolina, they had DJ Moore, they had Christian McCaffrey. It wasn't a barren cupboard there. Like
It
it
was a
wasn't a
tough
perfect.
situation.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna. It was a tough situation.
I mean, I
I
don't
believe
know.
PFF had him as like the one of the lowest ranked receiving cores at early on that year. I get that he had some players. It wasn't like I don't know. We've seen worse. It wasn't Laviska Shenault wide receiver number 1, but it was a tough situation.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. But I guess the thing is, I'm looking at here. So, like, I don't know. You watched every minute of every Tampa Bay game for what, the last 10 years, basically. Um,
Yeah, probably longer than that, to be honest.
yeah, I mean, we talked about this team a lot last season, and the first and second down, 3 yard and cloud of dust offense, and then hey Brady, bail us out on third down. That was their offense for basically 3 quarters until they're falling behind, and it's Brady, bail us out even more now at this point.
Hmm.
If it's Baker Mayfield back there, like Todd Bowles is going to have no problem running the ball at the middle.
Yeah.
Like, how does that change this season? What are we expecting that to be different? I know it's a new face at the offensive coordinator eventually calling those plays, but do we actually expect any sort of difference from that scheme wise and what they want to do? And are they going to actually give Baker opportunities to try and fix himself, to try and save his career here?
They did make some adjustments. You talk about the changes. So let's go to the offensive line, as I think just getting Ryan Jensen back could definitely be a benefit. They drafted Cody Mock, who they, I think, hope can be good. Nick Leverett was still not a great guard. You have Luke Gadecki currently slided in at tackle. So there's still some holes here. You mentioned Tristan Wirfs, who's, putting together quite the resume. So the offensive line has, potential to be better, but I still don't love this offensive line. I still actually have it as a tier 4 offensive line. The other thing you could argue is maybe not having Leonard Fournette could be sort of addition by subtraction, as Todd Bowles kind of one of the narratives that happened last year was how much he loved Leonard Fournette and kept giving Fournette the ball, despite the fact that Fournette wasn't doing so good. Rachaad White now should be the starter, and Chase Edmonds brought in as a backup. I still don't love that though, so I still actually have that as a tier 5 halfback room. So while maybe those will be upgrades from last year, I still don't think it's going to be great.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about it, honestly. Like, I mean, they clearly missed Gronkowski's blocking last year. Like, I thought that was just a huge thing that they lost. And I mean, obviously he wasn't the same receiver he was at his peak or anything, but
I
I
mean,
don't know,
I think they might have missed, Ryan Jensen, Ali Marpet, and
yeah.
Donovan Smith blocking well more. But yes, Gronkowski also, the former Patriot, also helped. Yes.
Yeah, it's just, they had a lot of stuff going on there that they had to change. Jensen being healthy, like you said, that's a big addition, but at the same time, like they need Mock and Godecki to be good or at least passable because that's going to
Mhm.
be a huge problem if they can't block
Yeah.
again this season. So yeah, I like Rashad Light a little bit. I like what I saw last year, but I mean,
Mhm.
I don't know if he's ready to be a lead back. We'll see how that works.
Yeah, I like him too, but and he should have been the starter last year, and that was kind of. But I still, every team has some halfback that I'm interested in. Even a team that have a tier 5 halfback room. The receiving core is definitely where this team, shines. The Mike Evans, Chris Godwin combo is the bright spot of this team. But again, who's the third option? You have Russell Gage, you have Kate Otten. Will one of those guys emerge as a third option? Maybe. I still have this as tier 2 wide receiving core because I don't love the depth here.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. If Gage is healthy, maybe he's the guy because he just wasn't
Mm.
healthy enough last year. It seemed like he was in and out of the lineup basically all the time. But yeah, I mean that top two. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that top two. I mean, there are teams that are better top twos, but that is a fantastic duo. It's one of the best in the league.
Yeah, so that's the offense. One tier 2, and then one tier 2, one tier 4, and then the rest tier 5s if you include the head coach. The defense is definitely a lot better. Starting off with the coverage, which I think losing Sean Murphy Bunting could hurt. I think that Devin White in his we will do the Devin. We have to talk about the Devin White thing. He was not very good last year, and I think that he's always been kind of a flawed player. But last year was probably his most flawed season. So it does hurt in coverage to have him out there. It helps a lot more though to have Levante David out there. It kind of masks some of those issues. Antoine Winfield, obviously an incredible safety. I know you're a huge fan of him. The Carlton Davis Jamel Dean combo is very good. Winfield kind of played slot corner a lot last year, and maybe that'll be kind of he'll be that hybrid guy. Again, maybe some depth issues. Losing Mike Edwards, that's the safety position. Ryan Neal. PFF was a huge fan of Ryan Neal last year. He was their 4th highest graded safety. I don't know about that, but I mean, at least they like him a lot. I'm going to go tier 2. I just think that, I have a little bit of concerns with the depth here, but I really like these starters. And again, coverage fluky. But Todd Bowles consistently does put these guys in positions to succeed. At least he has in Tampa, including last season.
Yeah, I mean, I do have some concerns too, but I do trust Bowles on this side of the ball to really kind of have it figured out. I don't really know like who's the nickel in this spot. Is it D Delaney? Like I don't love that, and Ryan Neal, like you said, even for PFF standards, because they completely hyped him up. It was kind of a career year. Is that something that's going to be consistent out of him? And then we saw last year what happened when Dean and Davis went down. That's a bit of a problem then, something they're going to have to look out for. So overall, that is a bit of a concern. The good news is they have not only one of the best linebackers in football, but one of the best coverage linebackers in football too. That helps kind of minimize some of the risk that you have with some of these guys, potentially getting hurt because he's a monster in the middle of the field.
Yeah. As for the front 7, I'm interested. I think Vita Vea, like his PFF grades aren't that high and stuff, but like there's a lot more that he does besides just he is someone who the name on the back of his jersey means something. You have to pay extra attention to him. I think adding Greg Gaines is actually a great fit. I really like that pick because I like Greg Gaines. I thought he was underrated when he was with the Rams. Logan Hall. Yeah, I had high hopes for. Has not come in and done too much. Joe Tryon Shoyinka, I had high hopes for. Was fine last year, but still hasn't lived up to the first round hype. Anthony Nelson, I think, is a solid rotational piece at the edge rusher position. And then you have Shaq Barrett coming off an injury is the concern there. You also have, linebackers like we talked about, Devin White and Levante David. Devin White also underrated. Rough run defense last year. Like he wasn't good.
Mhm.
In the past, he had usually been a pretty good run defender, but just struggled in coverage. Last year it was neither, so I don't know. But I have it as tier 3 run defense and tier 4 pass rush. It's another like there's the stars here, but I just don't love the depth. They also have they added they re-signed William Goldson, the I believe he's the longest tenured Buccaneer, as a good sort of rotational interior defensive lineman. But again, I just don't love some of the depth here.
Yeah. I would agree with that too. I do love the edge rushing depth. Like I think Barrett, as long as Barrett comes back healthy, obviously he's a tier 1 kind of edge rusher.
I docked it a little because of the injury.
Yeah. So you have him, you have Tryon Shoyinka, who I think is a good player, and I still think the intangibles I think are eventually going to pan out there. I really like that duo. I think we'll see what Kalijah Cansey looks like in year 1 too. But he's a really dynamic pass rushing interior defensive lineman, so I think that's something that could be interesting to watch. I think Logan Hall can be better in year 2. Here's my question: like, should Devin White move to the edge?
I don't think so. I don't think that's. I think it's a completely different skill set being a pass rushing off ball linebacker and being just a straight up edge rusher.
Yeah. I mean, it probably is, but at the same time, he's a good pass rusher. Like, that's his best quality, is his athleticism and getting after the quarterback. Now, part of that is also, I think he times blitzes really well. I mean, I think he just gets off the ball well, and he's athletic. But we saw time and time again him getting exposed on defense, and I just don't know if it's fixable.
Yeah, I mean, listen, maybe try it in practice and see how it goes. I just don't know. I just don't know if it's exactly the same skill set. And also, yeah, you brought up Cansey. I forgot to mention him when I talked about it. I'm just not expecting much from him year 1. Maybe you get a pleasant surprise, but I'm expecting him to take a little bit longer. I'm a big fan of him as a player. I just don't know about his rookie season.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it looks, but I just think overall, like, this is a good defense. Like, it feels like we're, a little skeptical. Obviously, the depth is, I think you could say depth on a lot of pieces, but the thing is that Tampa has spent a lot of money on a lot of star level players. So there's not it doesn't feel like there's a ton of depth this year that there has been in the years past.
Yeah, and that's spending money on star players who aren't there anymore, right? Still, I believe they're still paying Tom Brady $30 million this year. So it's like it's a rebuilding year. It is what it is. No Buccaneers fan is unhappy about the decisions they made to put with the salary cap and stuff these past couple of years. I gave the Buccaneers 7 wins here. I think that Todd Bowles, I actually think the defense should overperform typically, but the offense probably will underperform, which is already not great because I don't expect it to perform too great to begin with. So, 7 wins. Would you say over or under for that?
I'd probably lean under, but like just slightly. I still think a lot of these teams here are 6 to 10 wins, and I think Tampa's still in that boat because the defense is that good. I just think it's tough in an offensive league to try and not score points and be allergic to moving the football and being aggressive and trying winning games. Like, I just don't know how that's going to work this year. So they got a few favorable games on their schedule that I think they can win. But I just think the inability, they won, what was it? They won 1 game where they gave up more than 16 points. Like, if that's the benchmark that they have to perform at next season, I don't see how they're going to win a lot of football games.
Yeah, it's a little tough. King Connor says scale 1 to 10. Where are you excitement level for an NFL season with your team not having a lot of hope? I guess that question could be for either of us, but for me, I guess if the average season is a 5, I'm still at like a 5. Like, this is what I'm used to. Again, I still have the majority of my football watching life have seen my team be very bad. Like, this is actually there's higher expectations this year for my team than there has been like on an average year for me. Hey, we could make the playoffs in a weak division this year. This is great. Like, yes, the past few years have, I think, spoiled a lot of Tampa Bay fans. I'm still having fun right now.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So here's my question. So are you going to be one of those people that root for your team to lose?
No.
Are you going to be happy with a loss? If it means Caleb Williams.
I only if it's really late in the season, but like, because I feel like if you're doing that, what's the point of watching sports at that point? Like, your team's, here's the thing, your team's not going to win a Super Bowl. Every now and then it happens, but your team's not going to win a Super Bowl. If you're watching football for your team to win a Super Bowl, you're doing it wrong because that doesn't happen. It happened to me weirdly, and I didn't expect it. And like, if the whole reason I watch football was just for that one Super Bowl moment, like, I wouldn't enjoy football as much as I do. Like, it's,
Yeah.
the point is you turn it on Sunday and hope your team wins that game. That's how I view it. And I think that's probably the best way to do it, because otherwise you're just going to get yourself depressed every year.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Let me look at the schedule here. Great podcasting. I had it up just a second ago. So like if it's like 2-10 and you're playing the Colts and it's like you're down 16-13 with the ball with 2 minutes left. You're 2-10. Caleb Williams has put together another Heisman season. He might go back-to-back Heisman trophies. Are you saying, you know what, just take 3 knees and let's end this?
At a certain point, yes. At a certain point, I will.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying I've never rooted against my team. Like, the year that it was the Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota draft, we were up like 10 points at the halftime. And if we won, we wouldn't have gotten the first overall pick. And I was like, okay, we can lose this one. That's, I'm not above rooting against my team. I'm just saying I'm not going to do it like all season like some people do.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But I mean, there's still exciting things to watch about this team. So it's not like it's, a lost cause. It's not like the Texans the last few years. There are better players on this team than there have been on some bad teams in the past.
Yeah. Just one more thing before we can move on to the other teams. I remember there was one year the Buccaneers were 2-10, and we're in a position where if they win one game, they would be one game out of a playoff spot. Due to that, how bad the division was when the Panthers won with a losing record. And like at that point, I'm rooting for my team to win. I want to let's make the playoffs at 5-11. Sure, let's go. That's that. I feel like that's part of being a fan. I know Steelers fans, I think, were saying like we shouldn't be winning these games because even when they were trying to make the playoffs, because they're like, well, we need a better draft pick. Like, why are you doing that? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. If you can make the playoffs, make the playoffs.
Well, the thing is like, if you're rooting for your team to go from like the 16th pick to the 12th pick, I think that's loser mentality. Because in the NFL, the 12th pick and the 16th pick don't have that much difference. Right. If it's the number 1 pick in the draft, that's a different story. If you're in that range, absolutely go for it. But like, there's no difference between the 12th and even like the 20th pick. I'd say just win and get the 20th pick.
Yeah, but also that's just me. I don't fan shame. However, you get enjoyment out of it's just the entertainment product at the end of the day. We'll do whatever you want to do.
I'll fan shame. I don't care.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on. Which team will be finishing third in this division? We know who number 1's going to be, but who do you have at number 3?
I think we're going to disagree on this. I went back and forth, and these two teams, like, I wouldn't be surprised if they end up with the same exact record, honestly, and split their season series because they do feel pretty close to me. I'm going to go with Carolina at 3, though.
Wow.
I think Carolina is building things the right way, and I think fans should be excited about this team. Fans should be excited about Bryce Young. I'm just going to preach a little bit of patience this year, though. I mean, look, I think that there are, this defense has a chance to be nasty. We had some concerns about Derek Brown. Derek Brown put together a fantastic season. This secondary, I think, is coming together really nicely, and you know what? I still think they should have taken Mac Jones a couple years ago, but J.C. Horn looked pretty darn good last year too. So there are good things to like about this defense. I think the defense can be good. The offense, I have concerns. I think it could be a bottom tier offense, similar to with Tampa Bay. I think Bryce Young has the goods. I think he can be a very good quarterback, but we have seen over the last few years, you look at Joe Burrow, you look at Tua, you look at Justin Herbert. The number one thing that helps a young quarterback succeed is skill position. And Carolina's traded all of their skill position. And they just don't have the same guys as like they've had in the past. I don't feel comfortable saying Bryce Young is going to succeed because he has Terrence Marshall, Adam Thielen, Hayden Hurst, DJ Chark, Miles Sanders. That just doesn't feel like the same caliber of guys that's really going to help a young quarterback succeed early on. I'm preaching patience. I still love him as a talent, but they really need a top-end talented guy to get in there.
You think the Panthers still should have drafted Mac Jones?
Yeah, I mean, I still think that, there's talent there that they need.
I mean, like, I'm not saying, like, at the time I thought they should have, but, like, I feel like, I don't know.
I mean, at the time, obviously getting Bryce Young now, it looks okay, but I still think at the time, they should have drafted Mac Jones.
I'm just saying,
I don't want to be,
if there was a trade, if the Patriots traded J.C. Horn, got J.C. Horn for Mac Jones 1-for-1, are you happy or disappointed?
Disappointed because you can't win football without a quarterback.
I guess so. Anyway, sorry. We'll talk more about Mac Jones in a bit. I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, I mean that was basically everything I had. Like, I just think that they're going to need skill position talent to really help Bryce reach his full potential, and they don't have it right now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that's totally fair. I mean, again, the two people at the we did say Bryce Young is probably one of the better, more pro ready, you know, quarterbacks as of right now, which I don't, which I think is true. I think that exactly what you said. I think you hit the nail on the head of like the sporting cast is an issue. Frank Reich has done some good stuff with lesser receiving cores. That is like a thing that's a positive trait in him. I'm giving tier 5 quarterback play just because rookie quarterbacks tend to not to play great right away. It's not predictor of Bryce Young's success for his career just for this first year. And I'm going tier 4 head coach. I do think there are some things to like with Frank Reich, but he did just get fired last year for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, uh, we could talk about the receiving core to start things off, really, unless you had anything more about that, because it kind of all ties together. DJ Chark, I liked in his role with the Lions last year. Adam Thielen, I didn't think was particularly great last year for the Vikings. Terrence Marshall Jr., I still haven't seen it. Hayden Hurst might be the guy I trust the most right now, which probably
Yeah.
isn't a great situation. I don't think that they'll be in a situation where they have nobody, because they do have plenty of guys who I'm like, oh yeah, I like that player fine. They drafted a guy as well, but like it's just I don't know if they have a number one option. I don't know if they have a number two option either, which is kind of a
Yeah.
concern.
Yeah, and the biggest thing that I'm concerned about too is separation. Like, guys who get
Mhm.
separation and make easy throws for quarterbacks is huge for young guys. And at this point in his career, Adam Thielen's not really separating from anybody. DJ Shark's not really a separation guy either. So
Mhm.
I don't know how these guys get open for Bryce. And I mean, he might be able to, I think one of the things that was interesting about his time at Alabama, like his receiving core last year, low key, was kind of stunk for Alabama standards. They usually have
Mhm.
the best receiving core in the league, college football. So he's worked with lesser receiving cores than probably expected. But at the same time, like, I just don't know how much he's going to succeed if these guys can't get separation on NFL defenses.
Feels like this is going to be very much a run the ball and play action style offense, which is they're not the only team in this division trying to do that. You have if they're going to do that, I think that there's a lot of stuff to like about the offensive line, although there are some maybe concerns as well. I think that Keem Ikwanyu, I think probably had the best out of those top 3 tackle seasons last year. He kind of struggled early on, but I thought made some improvements sort of game after game. Also, Taylor Motton, I think, is very good for
Mhm.
the interior. Braden Christensen, I'm not sure is the best player. We have Bradley Bozeman and Austin Corbett as well. I think are pretty good on the inside. So, as a whole, I think this is maybe not the most consistent offensive line. So I have it as tier 3, but there are, the tackles should be good, helping out Bryce Young there. Also, the running game, Miles Sanders, Chuba Hubbard, both very good. I'm also going tier 3 for the halfback room. So, at least there's more. That's not quite as bad as the receiving core.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to establish the running game. I mean, I- I'm okay. Like, Miles Sanders is okay. Like, he just feels replaced. I mean, we just saw Philly basically said, "Yeah, we'll take DeAndre Swift." Um, you
Hmm.
know, so we'll see how that works. I guess they're gonna have to pound the ball. They're gonna have to use play action in their offense a lot this season, and that's probably how you get separation with these receivers. We'll just see if it works. I mean, I like a lot of these offensive linemen. I think Okwonu has the goods to take a leap this year too, and be one of the better offensive linemen in football. It's just is it all going to come together this season?
Yeah. Let's move on to the defense. Why don't we? Again, another team. More fun to talk about the defense. Although, again, kind of similar to Tampa Bay. It's like you have the stars, but do you have the depth here? Especially when it comes to the coverage situation, where you know. I think JC Horn's great. I thought he had a great season last year. You also have good safeties with Von Bell and Jeremy Chin. I like that situation, but it's like what else are we what else do we have here? Because like last season they tried to have CJ Henderson cover Mike Evans one-on-one in the biggest game of their season. Like that was basically the reason why they didn't play in the playoffs, was they were like one
Mhm.
corner short. And so I still don't know where that corner is coming from. And that's kind of a real concern I have with this team right now. Again, is it Keith Taylor? Is it Dante Jackson? I don't know. But because of that, I think I have to go tier 4 coverage unit because we know how much of a weak link position it is, and I don't love their depth.
Yeah, and I hope it's not Dante Jackson. That doesn't feel like a recipe for disaster
Uh-huh.
or success. But that being said, like you said, this safety room is very good. Von Bell
Mhm.
obviously is a good signing. I think Xavier Woods I think is not a bad player, and you got him, and you got Chin, and you got Horn. Like you said, there's a lot of versatility there too. A lot of those guys can move around the field, play in different spots. I think that's a huge thing. But yeah, I mean, the end of the day, outside corner is a very much can you beat your man? Can you win one-on-one battles? And I don't know if whether it's Dante Jackson or somebody else, that's going to be a recipe for success. I guess the good news is there's not a ton of receivers in this division outside of Tampa Bay.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't know. New Orleans has some guys, and I see. New Orleans and Atlanta has guys.
Well, Atlanta has one. I guess they could line up Michael or Kyle Pitts out there. We'll see. Yeah, I mean, maybe not then. Maybe they're in trouble.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's like the one thing like you don't want to have a weakness at in this division.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. So, well, I mean, we'll see. Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot to like about this secondary. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and again, all that has to happen is one guy to step up. We know how fluky coverage is. One guy becomes a good number 2 corner, and this could be like a great secondary. But I just got to go what's on paper right now. As for the interior, or as for the front 7, excuse me, the interior defensive line. Yep, Derek Brown, who's great. They added Shy Tuttle, who I think could be a good starting interior defensive lineman for them. The edge rushers, I'm still waiting on that like Yetur Gross Matos breakout season. I feel like we haven't really seen that. Brian Burns, obviously great. You have Marquise Haynes Sr. As the other guy. So again, there's a bit of depth here, right? I like some of the stuff, but what do you have at depth? The linebackers should be good. Shaq Thompson, Frankie Louvu. I feel okay about. I don't feel bad about that situation necessarily. I actually feel good about that situation, but as a whole, I think I'm going to go with the probably pretty similar to Tampa Bay, actually. A little bit better, though. I'm going to go the tier 2 run defense and tier 3 pass rush.
Tier 3 pass rush, tier 2. Yeah, I mean, I really like this run defense. The other thing, too, is you mentioned, the secondary corner spot is outside of Burns, who's getting after the quarterback really consistently. And their linebackers aren't that great in coverage either. So, unless Burns gets to the quarterback, is this defense just going to be picked apart because of that? I mean, I think there are some issues there. But overall, I do think it's a very good defense. Up front, they are very solid, and Brown's turning into a star at that position. So I think those go a long way, and I think they got some really good stuff for the next season.
Yeah, I had the Panthers going 6-11 here. I think that there's some potential for. I think there's potential with this team. I think this team has a higher ceiling than a lot of the other teams in this division, maybe than all the other teams in this division, just because of the Bryce Young factor. If instead of tier 5 quarterback play, they get tier 2 quarterback play in year 1, well, now that's different, right? And we have seen that. It's not like that never happens. Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, those guys were great right away. But it's just it's rare for it to happen. I don't know if this is the situation where it happens. So. They're a fascinating team. They're going to be fun to watch, but I'm with you in that. I think most people kind of agree this is a team to wait and see how they end up being.
Yeah. So you have this team below Tampa Bay.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I could see it. I could see it kind of bottoming out here, and
I guess, think that Tampa Bay has the Mike Evans and Chris Godwin thing, and also I think that I like their secondary better. So the thing. There are similar teams. I think Tampa Bay has certain things that I like better than Carolina.
I think I would agree with that. So yeah, I mean, it is interesting. I do think that they have a chance to be pretty good. I just don't think that I feel like 7 wins is a successful season. I feel like you should feel pretty good about yourself if this team goes 7-10.
Yeah. I think that's fair. I mean, they weren't a disaster. It's weird because they weren't a disaster last year, but I also think they kind of overperformed maybe their talent level a little bit, but maybe not. I don't know. It's just interesting to see what they do. Again, I really think for the Panthers, it's all Bryce Young. I think if you win 10 games, if Bryce Young looks terrible, then you're not happy, and if you win 2 games where Bryce Young was awesome, then you're very happy.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
All right. Well, there's 2 teams left. The bitter rivals, Saints and Falcons. Think we all know where you're going with this. I'm surprised one of these teams is still here. I got to be honest. But will you shock the world and have the Falcons at number 1, or are we going with the Saints here?
No, I'm not shocking anybody. I got the Falcons at number 2.
Okay.
The way you said that, it sounds like you might have the Falcons at number 4, but
I
we'll see.
haven't given a win total yet. I do it live. I come up with it live on the show.
All right, live on the show. Look, I mean, I think it really feels like it's the Desmond Ritter of it all for this Falcons team, because like I don't think this defense is going to be awesome next season, but I do think it's going to be slightly better from what it was before. I think is a huge step up, and I don't know how good Desmond Ritter is, but they're certainly giving him an opportunity to succeed, because if you look at Drake London, you look at Kyle Pitts, you look at Bijan Robinson, you look at a very good offensive line too. This has the makings of a pretty good offense, and then you throw on top of all of that Arthur Smith, who I still believe is a good coach, and I think he's also a very good offensive mind. I think you throw all that together, this Falcons team, if they get at least like below average quarterback play, could be kind of decent. Like I don't know if they're going to win like 10 games, but I could see them winning 8 or 9 if things go well. I mean, this team's won 7 games the last 2 years, and I don't think their roster is very good. I think this roster is a little bit better, and I could see them winning a couple more games.
It's interesting. They're a fascinating team. I mean, obviously the risk you're taking, I agree. I think Arthur Smith, like I have him as a tier 3 head coach. I think that I don't know if I've seen him be, dominant as a head coach necessarily. He hasn't had the opportunity to, and I like that Atlanta seems to be giving him some time, although I do wonder if things go poorly this year, will that time be running out? But, betting on the Falcons to finish second is in a way betting on Desmond Ritter, which is just a big risk for a guy who, I mean, let's just be honest, he was a 3rd round pick for a reason. He played like a 3rd round pick last year. Are we expecting him to take a massive jump, step forward? I just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's the big question, but at the same time, I look at it like this team was 15th in scoring last year. They scored, a decent amount of points per game. Like, they don't need him to, be anything amazing. They need him to be, maybe a poor man's Ryan Tannehill. Can he do that? I don't know. But I mean, they're going to give him that opportunity to, because it's the same offense that they're running, and they have top end talent around him to work.
I think they might need him to do a little bit more than that. We'll talk about the weapons here with the Drake London, Matt Collins, Scotty Miller, Kyle Pitts. That's kind of the 4. It's Drake London and Kyle Pitts. And then do you have a 3rd option? Not really. That's kind of where they're at. And one of those options is technically a tight end, although, Kyle Pitts, I don't know. We need a name for that position, right? Sort of how we have like nickel corner. There should be a name for the hybrid tight end, receiver player. I'm going to give it. Yeah, I guess. I'm going to give it tier 3 here. I like London and Pitts a lot. I think Pitts got too much criticism last year. I think he's still very good, but again, it's a depth issue here, and I also don't know if I like London and Pitts quite as much as Mike Evans and Chris Godwin.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I really like their top 2 guys. It really comes down to, I don't know. I don't think Matt Collins is a stiff either. I mean, it just comes down to, can those guys kind of patch together to be a 3rd guy, or really a 4th guy, because we're going to talk about maybe my favorite player in the NFC South here in a second, and that is the starting running back for this team, who's going to catch a lot of footballs too, because he is legitimately one of the best pass catching running backs I've seen out of college, and I think that's going to be a huge part of their offense.
Well, let's just talk about it now. Tyler Algier, coming off a great rookie year, or coming back. Yeah, I mean he's great.
That's not quite who I had in mind, but he is good. I like him as a secondary running back here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, obviously Bijan Robinson. I mean, I'm going tier 2 running back. I can't give a tier 1 to a team, to a guy, a starting running back who I've never seen play in the NFL. So tier 2.
I guess. I get it. He obviously needs to play. Let's put it this way. So the 3 running backs last year had 300 carries. If I gave you 300 carries for Bijan Robinson, are you going over and under?
Assuming he stays healthy, I think I'm definitely going over.
I think I am too. They're going to force
Mhm.
feed him this ball. I mean,
Yeah.
he's got a pretty nice offensive line in front of him too, and I mean, he's just a terrific runner. So they're going to force feed him the ball. They gave him a top 10 pick for a reason, and I think he's going to be kind of abused by this offensive coaching staff. So I think that's the big thing where I see this Atlanta Falcons offense succeeding is because I think, we debated this during draft. I think he's generational prospect. I think he can hit the ground running and have offensive rookie of the year caliber season.
I think he's probably going to do it just because he's going to get a lot of carries. Like I think that like that alone, because again, people won't if he gets if he gets over 1,000 rushing yards and or leads the league in rushing, which is totally possible. Then I could totally see him getting it. But I don't know. What I didn't we just disagreed on it. I didn't see like a total generational running back. I saw a very good running back. He was my running back one, but I wasn't like this guy is going to. I didn't see a Derrick Henry, which is kind of what they're asking him to be. And I think, well, yes, I can paint the picture of how it can work out. Like if Bijan Robinson comes in and is just like a fine running back, this offense looks like a disaster, right? Like they're relying so much on him to come in and be a star right away.
Yeah, I mean they are relying on it, but at the same time, we saw what this offense did with Tyler Algier, and I mean, we just quite frankly think he's better than Tyler Algier.
I
Like
don't know that. I thought Tyler Algier was really good last year.
I'm willing to bet it. I will. I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens. But at the same time, yeah. I mean, there is the variable of he hasn't played an NFL down, so we don't know. But I'm just willing to bet my stake in it. Honestly, I would say I'll call it right now. Let's go 1,500 yards and 12 touchdowns rushing. Bijan Robinson.
Wow. Okay. So that would be, I believe that would have been the best running back season last year. So you're saying he will exceed what everyone else did last year.
No, so 1,500 yards was Josh Jacobs over 1,600,
Oh, that's
Derrick
right.
Henry, Nick Chubb, and then
Okay.
Derrick Henry had 13 rushing touchdowns. Eckler had 13 rushing touchdowns. Jalen Hurts had 13 rushing touchdowns. My God, that stupid push play. Nick Chubb had 12 rushing touchdowns. Jamal Williams had 17. So he would be among the best running backs in football
Yeah.
next season. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Well, we'll see. He'll get the volume. He'll certainly get the volume. Again, people are going to look. Simply just post he had 100 yards in his rookie game. You idiot. You thought he was going to suck, and he's great. Like, that's going to happen right away. And again, I think Bijan Robinson is great. I just think that the expectations have gone a bit too far for him. That's all.
Yeah. Or he's going to have eight carries for 17 yards, and I'm going to get made fun of. It's okay. Either way, somebody's going to win this. It's okay.
Yeah. Whatever. And or we'll both somehow be. If we're both right about something else, no one will talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. Fair enough. But yeah, I mean, I think that they've put a really nice offense around him, and I just don't think it's going to fail. I think he's that good.
We'll see. The offensive line. There's parts I really like about it. Chris Lindstrom, I've been banging the drum for a while now. I thought was one of the more underrated guards in the league. No one listened because no one wants to hear about one of the more underrated guards in the league. That's just not a video that gets a ton of clicks. But also Caleb McGarry and Jake Matthews, very good tackle tandem. Some issues interior wise with Matthew Bergeron as a second round pick, who I wasn't crazy about coming out of college. Doesn't have great run blocking analytics, although the pass blocking analytics a little better. Drew Dahlman, I've never really seen much from as out of the center position. So I'm going tier 3 offensive line. We talk about it being a weak link positions, area. Definitely some talent here, but again, what will Bergeron do coming into the league? What will Drew Dahlman do? Can he just be solid? Because the other 3 guys are very good.
Yeah, is Matt Hennessy? I thought I saw Matt Hennessy starting left guard.
Maybe I have my notes wrong.
I don't know how much it moves the needle. I mean, I think Hennessy's all right. So, but either way, I mean, I think I can agree with that. There are some top end dudes here, though. I mean, there are some, like, if you look at it, doesn't get much better on the right side of the line than Lindstrom and McGarry. I mean, that's where this really shines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, there's great players. Yeah, so I'm trying to. It looks like PFF does not have Hennessy on their thing, but I googled it and it said he is there. He's definitely an upgrade. I'm not sure if that might even bump it up to a tier 2 offensive line for me. I don't know. It's fringe tier 2, tier 3 because again, they have 3 great players on this line. I think at least 2.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So yeah, I think it's close. I think you could argue that the way for tier. What tier you're going to put it at?
All right. Well, let's move on to the defense then. There's you just started laughing when I said defense.
Yeah. This isn't going to be as nice of a review, I would say, but it's better than what we saw the last couple seasons.
It is. That is definitely true. This is the team that might be starting Jeff Okudah next season, which, again, I actually don't hate as like a, hey, let's try and, let's just see what happens. Let's just take a flyer on him. Sure. Why not? But like, that just kind of shows where they're at. Like Darren Hall might be another starter here. AJ Terrell, I'm expecting is going to bounce back. Corners are weird to have fluky seasons. He had a bad year. It's okay. I'm not going to freak out. Jesse Bates should be good. We'll see what your guy Richie Grant can do at the, there. But, again, we talk about secondary being kind of a weak link area. There are some players who I really like. I'm kind of in between tier 4 and tier 5. I think I'm going to go tier 5 coverage unit for the Atlanta Falcons.
I think it's fair. Like, I think the Okudah resurgence was a little overstated last year, but at the same time, like, I don't know who was succeeding in that Detroit secondary. I just don't what it was last season. I do think Terrell bounced back.
Kirby
I think
Joseph.
Jesse, yeah, that's true. I think Jesse Bates kind of stabilizes a little bit of the situation here. And they really need Grant to kind of pan out because, I mean, that's probably where the upside is. If Grant's just decent, like this becomes a decent secondary, I'd say.
Does it? I feel like they still have a corner issues outside of Terrell.
Maybe, but I wouldn't be shocked if Okudah's at least a little bit better, right?
Sure, but I'm saying it's more than just Grant is decent. You need more than that.
Yeah, they got a couple guys. I mean, it really just depends. But I mean, it's still projecting a lot of guys who haven't really been good to get better, and that's the biggest problem.
Yeah, I could see it. I could easily see this exceeding expectations. I think that there's a way you can envision it. Maybe even better so than like Carolina, where I just feel like they're going to have depth issues. I just feel like that's how I feel going in. Atlanta, I feel like is in better spot there. So I will maybe I will bump them up the tier 4 coverage because of that.
Yeah. Little Mike Hughes bounce back season, maybe. I mean,
yeah, there's some stuff. You're right. Tier 4 feels better. I think that I feel more comfortable with that. There's still some issues, but there's a way you could talk yourself into it.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest problem that we're having here is this secondary isn't given a lot of favors by their pass rush, and I guess you want to get to that.
Yeah. Again, might be starting Bud Dupree. Actually, that's just listed as a starter right now. I like Arnold Ebiketie. I like him a lot coming out of college. Again, you didn't show a ton his rookie year, but we'll see what can happen. Grady Jarrett, I still think is great. I think that his analytics and stuff get hurt by the fact that everyone knows who he is and can easily game plan around him. I'm interested in seeing how Calais Campbell could help. I'm interested in seeing how David Onyemata can help. I am fascinated in some of these individual players, or Lorenzo Carter. I don't think that this is a even Mykal Walker. Like, I don't think this is a talentless roster. I'm just a little concerned about maybe do they have someone who can come in and really be good, I guess is the question. Caden Ellis, I didn't mention him as well. Those are the guys in the front 7. Again, like Grady Jarrett a lot. Interested in Arnold Ebiketie. I'm going to go tier 4 across the board here.
I think I'd agree with that. I might even go tier 5 pass rush because I do like Campbell and Jarrett a lot, but I mean, quarterbacks may be able to stand back there for 5-6 seconds with this team. Like, I just don't know.
Well, it's not going to be that crazy. I mean, that never happened.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, that was hyperbolic. But I mean, at the same time, like, I don't know. It's a Bud Dupree led defensive line pass rush. Like, I don't know the recipe for that success.
I'm expecting more from Arnold Ebiketie, and this is just my bias from how much I liked him coming out of college. I'm expecting now in kind of a more steady role with the good interior defense. Adding Calais Campbell, I think, should help. I'm expecting to see him. I don't know. I think even I would put Lorenzo Carter above Bud Dupree on the Bud Dupree's still going to get like 500 snaps if they don't sign someone else. That's still a concern. But I'm just saying, I think there are some players I like.
Yeah, I mean, even like Ellis is a good pass rushing linebacker, but at the same time, like, are you relying on a pass rushing linebacker to get after the quarterback? I think that's not going to work.
Yeah. So as a whole with Atlanta, I don't know. There's things to like about them. I can see it. I can see it, but it's just like at the end of the day, this is a team that I don't think will have a good defense at all. I think that I hate their quarterback situation. I like their receiving core. I like their halfback room. I like their offensive line, but this is still I'm going 6-11 here, Kyle.
6-11. Yeah, I think that's
don't think it's fair. Right. You hate it. You can say it.
I mean, look, I think that their ceiling is still what 8 to 9 wins. Like that's probably the best case scenario still, and that's where I'm putting them here. Where I could see the best case scenario working out. Like I do see that scenario, but at the same time, I don't know if there's a situation where this team wins 10, 11 games.
Yeah, here's the thing. I can see what you're saying. I don't think it's crazy to think that that could happen. To me, that just feels like a best case scenario and not a prediction.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, but at the same time, like, what's the most likely best case scenario? Let's go through it here. Carolina's best case scenario, where their secondary is kind of figures it out. Some of those guys take a development. They're able to mask that second corner spot, and their receivers work out next to Bryce Young. Tampa Bay with Baker Mayfield or Kyle Trask, or Atlanta with their defensive issues. Like I still think that offense is still gonna like it. I could see Ritter being bad and this offense still being okay. That's the thing. And this feels like a team that Arthur Smith, after years of trying to rebuild this thing, feels like a kind of Arthur Smith team. And they're going to run the ball a lot. They're going to control the clock. And I feel like they're going to be able to steal games that way.
Maybe. I mean, it didn't work with Derrick Henry and Marcus Mariota, right? Like, I think you still need to have, like, I still feel like if Desmond Ritter doesn't take a big step forward, even if everything else in the offense hits, I still don't know if this team's winning more than like 7 games. That's just kind of how I think they need at least decent quarterback play as well. So that's why I would say I think Tampa Bay has a better chance of just because all they need is one thing. They just need the Baker Mayfield, who has been good in the NFL before, to play well. And then, they would be the team that kind of hits their upside. But again, none of these teams look great.
Yeah. And like I said, I see all these teams kind of within a game or two of each other again. So we're kind of right in queue with that. We just got the order different.
Yeah, exactly. Last year, every team finished 7-10, except for Tampa Bay, who finished 8-9. The team that you have winning the division could be their this would be their 4th time in 5 years if they win the division this year. They're the one team. Everyone else kind of said let's build for the future. Let's not do anything crazy. The Saints said, you know what, we got a winnable division here. Let's go out and get Derek Carr. Coming off of Derek Carr's worst season in the league, I have Derek Carr as a I'm getting ahead of myself. Why don't you tell me why you have the Saints finishing first?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm a little higher on this team than you are. I'm not going to go ahead and say that this is a, exactly a foolproof team, but I could see this team in this division specifically winning 10, 11 football games. Like, I do think there are concerns. I'm concerned about the interior offensive line. I'm concerned about, a couple players on defense, although I think it should be a good defense. But Derek Carr's a better situation than what they had last year. And I think my biggest concern with this team is Dennis Allen. The Dennis Allen of it all as a head coach. But I do think there are good players here, and this team is capable of winning 10 games. I don't know if I would put it in my tier 2 of the NFC with teams like Detroit, Seattle, Dallas, but they might be that next tier, and they might be at least a worthy playoff team this year compared to what we saw last year from this division. And I think that's at least a partial step up.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about Dennis Allen, it's concerning. I think that, similar to Tampa Bay, like that's a thing that you can't get too excited because like it wasn't great last year. It just wasn't great. And I think unlike, at least with Tampa Bay, Todd Bowles still made the defense very good. I thought Dennis Allen's defense dipped as well when he had to take on the head coaching responsibilities. But you're adding Derek Carr, who listen, I didn't think Andy Dalton was bad last year. Like, I think obviously I'd rather Derek Carr than Andy Dalton in a vacuum, but I don't know if it was like a a disaster last year when he was out there. And Derek Carr is not coming off of a great year, but as long as Derek Carr can be Derek Carr, this should be, easily the best quarterback play in the division. It's certainly what we're all betting on, being the best quarterback play in the division. So tier 3 quarterback play for me, tier 5 head coaching is where I have those two guys.
Yeah, I have Carr in the same spot. I mean, he's good. He's fine. The big thing is this year with this team, can these skill position guys work out? Because, you look at a guy like Alvin Kamara's not getting any younger. You look at a guy like Chris Olave, good rookie year, and you look at a guy like Michael Thomas. I mean, that's probably the biggest gamble you have with this team. And I still think, as we've seen with Carr over the years, like I think he's a solid quarterback to good quarterback, but he definitely needs talent around him to succeed. And are these guys going to be in the position to help him out?
Yeah, because I gotta be honest, I don't love this supporting cast for Carr. I think there's some issues here. The receiving core. We'll see what we get out of Michael Thomas, right? We'll see what we get out of Rashid Shaheed, and I like Chris Olave. I think he's good. Jawan Johnson is currently maybe their best tight end. Is Jimmy Graham going to be their starting tight end? He might be. He legitimately might be in this situation. I don't love it. I have it as tier 5. Like Chris Olave is good. Maybe Michael Thomas steps it up, but like I want to see it. I want to see it for more than just a couple games before I'm willing to feel comfortable about it. So as of right now, that's where I have it.
Yeah, I mean that's what it comes down to. I mean, if we get Michael Thomas back, then all of a sudden this is a fun group. Like this is all of a sudden interesting. Right. But you can't even bet on that. You just can't.
Sorry, I took a drink. I thought you were going to go on a little bit longer. No, but yeah. And for the offensive line, you have Ryan Ramczyk, who's awesome. Ryan Ramczyk, great player. But I have question marks about all the other 4 offensive linemen. Cesar Ruiz, first round pick, who has not lived up to the hype. Eric McCoy had a great rookie year and has really struggled since then. Anders Pete's been very up and down over the course of his career. And, James Hurst at left tackle, I don't know what we're getting out of him. This is a tier 4 offensive line for me.
Yeah. Is it not Penning at left tackle? I guess that's the big thing.
Oh, I guess so. Yeah. I mean, but still, I mean, unproven rookie.
Yeah. I mean, it comes down to, can these guys be consistent? Because they've been waiting. Like you said, Ruiz hasn't really worked out. They're going to give him another shot. Penning, I mean, there's still the flashes of him being a pretty good player. We'll see. McCoy and Pete, like you said, they really need a lot of those guys to be up, because one of those things with Derek Carr is he does not like internal pressure. It's one of the things he really struggles with. And I could see a situation where they're giving up a lot of internal pressure.
Yeah. And then for the running back room, Alvin Kamara is a complete wild card for me. Jamal Williams is, I think, good. I went with a tier 3 halfback room here, though, because I like Jamal Williams. I don't know if I think he's a star player. I don't know if he's a top 10 back in the league, which is kind of where you need to be tier 1 or tier 2. But Kamara is at his best is an elite running back, and at his worst is not on the field, or just really just not on the field is the thing. So what are we going to get out of Alvin Kamara? How many games is he going to play? And then Williams should be solid, but I'm going tier 3. So I don't love this offense. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, I do think getting Williams is going to help Kamara. I think that's the thing. Like they have put a lot of burden on him as a individual running back for a lot of years, and I think being able to change that a little bit should help this team a lot. So I think that'll help a little bit. Jamal Williams, I don't think he's going to get 17 touchdowns, but he is good at a lot of different things. So I think that should help. I guess the thing is, this offense definitely has the most upside, because there are guys we've seen be really good.
And have a quarterback.
Yes, they have a quarterback. Yes. But yeah, I mean, obviously the thing is, like, if Kamara has one more bounce back season, if Michael Thomas has a bounce back season healthy, this could all of a sudden look like a really good offense compared to a bad offense, right? Like, it could change quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. There's, I totally think that there's the upside here for the Saints. Let's move on to the defense. Why don't we? It's very funny how all sometimes these divisions kind of all go the same way. It's another depth thing, right? For the secondary of Marshawn Lattimore, again, we know who Lattimore is. Very fluky player. Does very well against Mike Evans. I think Tyrann Mathieu is awesome. When did we turn on Tyrann Mathieu? He's still been consistently good. I think people act like he's not that great. Him and Marcus May, very good safety situation, I think. But then it's like Bradley Roby is, like Lattimore, but to an extreme with his inconsistency. He definitely has some good years, has some really bad ones as well. And Paulson Adebo, both Adebo and Roby are coming off of sub 50 PFF seasons last year, who both could be starting corners for them. So Demario Davis, to me, and kind of the stars, the Lattimore, the Davis, the Matthew, the May, those guys elevated enough. I'm still going to go tier 3 coverage, but like this could fall off the rails if they don't find the depth here.
Yeah, there's enough there to get kind of excited, but I agree. Like they really need a Debo to work out. Like he has the potential to work out, I still think. But obviously it's been a tough first couple of years. There's upside, like I said, there's upside. Obviously, you never know what you're going to get out of Bradley Roby. So it really just comes down to how all those guys pan out. They do have my favorite player in football though.
Okay. Who's that?
Jonathan Abram. He's still in the league.
Oh yeah. Here we go.
We're excited. I can't wait to see him 15 yards out of position. Then Raiders fans tell me it was justified. He was doing something else.
Hey, but he'll hit someone hard though.
Yeah, he has the attitude to play football. That's for sure.
Is Jonathan Abram the go-to when you think about the Raiders in the Gruden Mayock era? Like he's the guy you think about of like they totally just drafted him because he hits hard.
Yeah, the thing is like he was at least a good prospect.
He was, yeah.
Like the Alex Leatherwoods and the who was the other
true.
guy? Who was the other corner?
I'm like Damon Arnett.
The Ohio State kid. Yes, yeah. I mean that kid. I mean he was that was ridiculous. I mean
Damon Arnett was the weirdest thing because like he would never go more than 5 yards down the field. Like he would just like go 5. He would play cover 2. That's all they played. He would just go 5 yards down the field and like you're supposed to still cover like 10 more yards further back. Why are you stopping every single time? Why has no coach come in and told you this? What is happening here?
Yeah. Even like, you look at like Clelin Ferrell and like, I actually think Ferrell is like an okay football player, but he just like brings nothing of like positional, like everything that you value out of a defensive end, he doesn't do well. He does all the other stuff well. Right. And it's just like only the Raiders valued that. It was one of the most bizarre things.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, back on topic here. The New Orleans Saints, their front seven. Demario Davis, like I said, Demario Davis is a superstar. Demario Davis is awesome. Demario Davis is great. He's, the best player, probably the best player on this defense. He, is incredible. What are we getting out of Cameron Jordan at this point in his career? He's not coming off his best year. He is getting up there in age. He wasn't terrible last year, but like, just what are we getting? Carl Granderson had some really good, his PFF grades were very good last year. So, maybe they found something in him. You also have, Isaiah Foxy as an edge rusher, a rookie edge rusher that they hope to bring on, and maybe he can do some stuff. He was the 2nd round pick, who, again, not the best analytics, but we'll see. Maybe not year 1, but maybe, he could do some stuff. Pete Warner at the linebacker position next to Demario Davis should be good. They drafted Brian Brisset. Also have Nathan Shepard as an interior defensive lineman. So I don't know. They got guys, but this is not the Saints defensive line from a couple of years ago. I have it as tier 4 for run defense and pass rush.
Tier 4. Ooh. I think it's a little better than that. I still think Cameron Jordan has some of the goods.
Sure. I think, listen, I think it's fair to have some questions about, at this point in his career, what is he going to bring to the table? But I don't think the answer is nothing.
Yeah. I think Demario Davis is probably going to fix, cover a lot of the mistakes some of this defense is going to make because he's that good. He's in that tier.
Sure.
Yeah, he's in that category of the Bobby Wagners, Fred Warners, Levante Davids.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's in that tier. So he's going to make up for a lot of the mistakes there. This is a really good linebacker core, I think. Like Zach Bond, like if he's healthy, I think he's an okay player. They just need him to get healthy. Him and Pete Warner and Davis, like that could be an elite linebacker group. I guess that's the thing where it's like, okay, if you're banking on your linebackers being the best part of your defense, how good is your defense? But these are like Davis is also a special player, which might kind of negate that rule.
It's totally possible. I mean, I can see it, but I don't know. I feel like this is the team. Like, it feels like they're going to have to rely on some very unproven players. I didn't talk about Peyton Turner, who's guy who they drafted in the first round a year ago. Only played, didn't play 200 snaps last year. What we get out of him, they're expecting guys who I've never really seen play well this year is kind of my concern. You could talk me into tier 3 for either of these, but there's I still don't think it's I just have it's not that I can't see them succeeding, because I can. It's just I have some concerns here.
Yeah. If this goes south, do you think Dennis Allen keeps his job throughout the season?
I wouldn't think so. I mean, well, throughout the season, I think this division's going to be bad. So I think that typically you don't see a head coach get fired when you have a chance to win the division. But I don't. If this goes south, goes NFC South, if you will, I don't know how much I feel like this could. I think so. I think he could lose his job. I actually think that outside of Frank Reich, I think any of these head coaches could lose their job. I wouldn't be shocked if all 3 of them do at the end of this year.
Yeah, I think that's true. I don't know. The schedule, I don't think it's too bad, but like off the bat, you have Carolina and Tampa Bay in your first 4 weeks. So, if you want to get ahead in the division, you probably have to win those early. I think at New England, at Green Bay aren't easy to play. I mean, it just kind of depends on how this goes early in the year. I do think that there is upside here, but we just haven't seen it from Allen and what he can do as a head coach.
Yeah, and if I had to bet, I'd probably bet on me being them over exceeding some of my picks more than under exceeding some of them. That's what I think happens. Although I do think it's worth mentioning, like, sometimes quarterbacks when they get into the 30s do kind of fall off. Like, it's not out of the question that Derek Carr could be a worse quarterback now than he used to. Like, that does happen. I know he's only 32, and like we've seen guys play in their 40s, but like, Andy Dalton's a perfect example of a guy kind of around this age, just sort of took a step back. It's I'm not betting on that happening, but like it is a possibility.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So, I mean, at his best, how this is a crazy one. At his best, like what level? Like, is Derek Carr a top 3 quarterback in this conference?
Well, that's interesting. I mean, I would have to kind of look at it because I mean, again, he's competing with like Kirk Cousins and Jared Goff, and obviously, I think Jalen Hurts. He's got to be the number 1 guy. But
yeah,
I mean, yeah, absolutely. He's absolutely at his best, that caliber. But again, there's a big gap between like Jalen Hurts and Derek Carr at his best.
Yeah. I mean, easily. So it'll be interesting. There are. It's an interesting division to watch just because I do feel like there's a lot of variability with a lot of these teams. Like, there are things that could go really good or really bad with a lot of these teams, and it just kind of depends on how a lot of it works out. And none of it might work out, and all these teams might just be mid. That's just kind of what it is. I mean, it's gonna be a fascinating division to watch.
Yeah, I have it. I think if all these teams are mid, that will be over exceeding expectations. I have the Saints at 7-10, so I have a tie with the Saints and Buccaneers at as first, and it's a tie for first at 7-10. I don't have too high expectations for this division.
Yeah. Did you do a community poll?
I forgot to do that. So, no, I meant to do that, but I forgot. So I'll do it. Here's what I'll do it once we get off the show, and then next week I'll have it.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, NFC South 7-10 division winner. That's what we're looking forward to.
I'll give the Saints the nod, though. I think that with the quarterback play, I'll give them this. That's the team that I will put my official prediction in for who will make the playoffs.
Looking forward to it. Hosting a playoff game.
Did you have a prediction with the Saints?
I'd say 10-7. Let's go 10-7. Why not?
Okay. So you're buying into the Derek Carr bounce back, and maybe you think I'm too low on some of this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I could see some of this stuff working out. Maybe I'm too much of an optimist. Like, let's just say, I don't know.
Except for Tampa Bay, no chance Baker Mayfield succeeds, but somehow Bijan Robinson is going to come in and be the best running back in football. Michael Thomas is going to come back and play great. You also aren't a huge.
What's that?
You also aren't crazy about Carolina, but still.
Yeah, I I went through the ringer on Baker Mayfield. I put a lot of stock in him early. Had to come down off that. Haven't quite recovered from it. I'm not ready to trust him again.
Well, yeah, I don't think that you, I don't think you should. I totally agree. I'm just saying, I think you could, I'm just saying, as a Tampa Bay fan, he's going to be the best quarterback in football.
You think so?
I think so. I think MVP. What will you do
Um,
if Baker Mayfield wins MVP?
Probably give up podcasting.
Oh no.
This league's too unpredictable.
Well, I don't want to do that. Then who will I podcast with?
I don't know. Baker Mayfield, maybe.
Brandon says 7-10. Did you smoke your breakfast this morning? What does that even mean? Smoke your breakfast?
I do like a good smoked sausage.
Yeah. Yeah, is that just a question? Are they two unrelated questions? They maybe Brandon misheard me and then was asking, would it have like a smoked sausage for breakfast?
I mean, it's not inconceivable that the Saints go 7-10. They just did it last year. It's not that much of a different theme outside of Derek Carr.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what this is where things get tricky, is because it's the equation that everyone does is last year's record plus the talent we added into offseason, when that's not how that works.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's just not how it works. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, year to year is different, but yeah, I mean, they added some talent at quarterback, no doubt.
I'm picking them to win a division.
Yeah, 7-10.
We'll see. I don't know. I don't know. I think that there's some issues with this team that people aren't talking about.
I think that's very true. I could see this interior of the offensive line getting eaten alive. And I think that the secondary, outside of their safeties, could get eaten alive. So,
yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, I don't love the coaching as well. That's kind of another factor in this. But, we'll see how it goes. It's a wide open division. If one of these teams, I could see either of these teams winning the division, which you can't say that about most of these divisions. So there's at least like some excitement there.
Yeah.
That's like saying you must be high, bro. Yeah, no, I got it. I understood the joke.
Yeah, just in case.
Yes. Okay. Appreciate everyone who comments, even if you're not very thrilled of our takes. Thanks for taking some time out of your day to watch us. Regardless, we're just having some fun.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Anything else to say about this division?
No, I'm done talking about it, and it's my team's in it. So yeah, let's stop it.
All right, let's stop it.
Yeah. Kyle, have you watched Barbenheimer yet?
I watched Barbie. Might go to Oppenheimer next week.
I'm surprised that I would have thought you would be an Oppenheimer first kind of guy.
I wanted to see Oppenheimer first. I got outvoted.
Okay, gotcha.
So I got outvoted. It is what it is. I'm looking forward to Oppenheimer. I haven't read spoilers. Just kidding.
Right. I still feel like there's some things like I don't know all the details, right? Like I know it's a real event, but like I'm not I slept through history class in high school. Like it's still new to me.
Yeah, I mean there's still a lot that I probably don't know. So it's it'll be a fun watch, I think, for a 3-hour biopic.
It is. I'm not typically a huge Nolan fan. But this one, I think this is my favorite. Yeah, for whatever, I don't know. I've always just had like nitpicks with it. It's always been kind of a thing where I've always felt like it consistently makes like 8 out of 10s for me, but not like. This is my favorite of his movies. I think that this is his. I really liked it a lot. So I thought they're both great.
I didn't like Tenet, but I've liked a lot of his stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I'm constantly like it's like Interstellar, which is another one I like, but it's like that ending. I'm just like. It didn't work for me at all. There's always like parts of his movies, and even like in this movie, in Oppenheimer, like there's certain like scenes where I'm like, okay, this feels like kind of clunky and like like very exposition heavy and all that stuff. I think that he's an incredible director, an incredible editor, and sometimes a clunky writer. I
think that's fair. Inception's a 10 out of 10 though. That's all I gotta say.
Even that one, it's just like sometimes like some of the dialogue, I'm just like, it's just a little bit clunky for me.
Cillian Murphy's also a 10 out of 10 and everything he's in. He's fantastic. What else was I going to say about the movie? I don't know. I'll give it a watch. I'll see what I think. I'm usually not a big biopic fan. Like I think this
Okay.
biopic genre has just gone too far.
Hmm.
Like
Well, now
I
we're
don't.
getting into like brands. Like now we're doing
Yeah,
like all the brands and stuff. Like stop it.
yeah. It's gone too far. Like the Queen one was just like the fact that that won awards. I'll never get over it. Like
Right,
it's just
Bohemian Rhapsody.
ridiculous. Yeah, that that's not an award-winning movie. Like I'm still annoyed by it. I didn't like
Yeah,
that movie.
all that stuff drives me crazy. Yeah, every year, the Oscars, it's like the worst like two movies that are nominated are always like biopics.
Yeah, but at least like I feel like the thing is like Oppenheimer like is not like famous. Like this isn't someone
Hmm.
people go around like Freddie Mercury. Like we all know who he is.
Right.
Elvis. We all know who he is.
Hmm.
This is at least a little bit of intrigue. Again, I mean, he's not going to have as much. Oppenheimer's not having as much say over his film as some of these other people in these working these movies.
Yeah. One thing I like about it too was like it was just like I don't want to give anything away, but like just like it was actually about something about like sort of the like I feel like a lot of times with Nolan movies they're kind of just like entertainment. They're blockbusters. I mean that's what they are. They're big budget blockbusters. But I kind of feel like they're sometimes a bit more like like I don't know like, Interstellar. It's like hey, love is cool. It's like all right, yeah, sure. But like I don't know what else we're doing there. But but that's why Oppenheimer worked for me.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Maybe I'll watch it next week and give you my thoughts.
Okay.
We'll see.
We'll do stay tuned next week when we talk about many things. Maybe Oppenheimer. We will also be talking about the final division, the NFC West. We have not talked about the NFC West. It should be interesting division.
Yeah, final division of the NFC. We still got the whole AFC to do, but
Yeah.
NFC West is fascinating. Um, Two good teams at the top. Maybe the Rams are a sleeper. We'll see. We'll talk about it next week.
Maybe the Cardinals.
No.
All right, we'll see if we have any hot takes. Do we have any hot takes? Everyone in the world is picking Cardinals 4, Rams 3, Seahawks 2, and 49ers 1, right? There's not a
Well, you have
person on
to,
the planet who has changed that besides that. You don't even have to tune in next week. That's what ours are going to be.
well, you'll see next week what I haven't ranked.
Okay, all right. Maybe we'll have a hot take. We'll see then. But yeah, thank you, everybody. Right, before we go, Kyle, let them know can find us on Twitter before we head out.
Yeah, make sure to follow us on Twitter. That is at Jackson Kruger. Make sure to follow me at by Kyle Grondin, and make sure to follow the account page at On the Sideline JK. That is at On the Sideline JK.
Yes, and appreciate that, Brandon, in the chat. But yeah, of course, if like audio only podcast, anywhere you get your podcast, on the Sideline podcast, search that, it should show up, and then you can listen to us. Don't have to look at our faces.
Yes, that's usually the better way to do it.
Yeah, I think that's how. I think most people just like, I bet there's a lot of like people listening with in one tab while opening something else in another tab. I think onto YouTube stuff.
That's probably the smart way to do it too.
Mm-hmm.
I usually have things in the open tab. So,
Yeah,
I'm not.
Yeah, I don't really like watch every now and then. If I'm eating, I'm like, oh, and I'm already listening to podcasts. I'm like, oh, whatever. I'll just keep it on, just watch it.
Yeah, that's basically how it goes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you to everybody again. We do appreciate it. Until next time, have a good one.
Peace.